Good day, everybody. Welcome to JICA Open Innovation Challenge. JICA, as in Japan International Cooperation Agency, is a Japanese organization that focus on helping the developing country to build their economy as well as creating talents. Now, in this particular Open Innovation Challenge, what we are doing is to help Sri Lanka, build more companies and then solving big companies' problems so that they can prosper and can start building a better economy. Together with us is not just JICA, but also the large corporation from Sri Lanka as well as Japan. So together we put together this particular program and to help Sri Lanka to create more innovations. Let me dive into talking a little bit about Open Innovation Challenge. Open Innovation Challenge is a very simple concept where the large corporation will put up the challenge statement. All right, so the innovator all over the place will be able to submit their participation and eventually go through and build possible solutions because of the innovation challenge. The outcome is that the project team eventually will be able to work with, if selected, work with the corporation to realize their product and build a very viable business with existing market. All right, without further ado, let me dive into what are the problem challenge statements that we have for this particular seasons of Open Innovation Challenge. Right, so there's a whole list of problems to solve. We have 9 of them down here, but it's not limited to these 9. All right, the very first one is that innovation registry for Sri Lanka. So as we are building the innovative company in Sri Lanka, well, you will notice that one of the key challenge for Sri Lanka ecosystem is communication is not very smooth. People know a lot of things, but people don't know everything. So you have pocket of knowledge all over the place, and especially in the innovation space, where we don't have everybody talking to each other. Now, what is the impact of this one is that the innovation will be slower. And people take longer time to find their partners, resources, etc. All right. So how can this one benefit the ecosystem? It will be able to accelerate a lot of innovation a lot faster, because when you're able to find technology, partners, market, investor especially. So how can that one be addressed? How can this one be solved? And how big is this market? Now, in the coming year, we will be looking into building about close to 4,000, if not 5,000, innovative company every year. And all these innovative company will likely be the customer of this ecosystem. And there's a lot of things that can be facilitated on top of this innovation registry for Sri Lanka. The next one is something a little bit more serious, but a little bit more difficult to solve, is that Sri Lanka constitutions has been going through many iterations with amendment, layer on top of amendment, etc. And it makes it very difficult for the lawyer to read and for people involved in dealing with constitution, especially the law and the law that derive from it. So it makes it very difficult to read. But with the advance of artificial intelligence, can that be solved? Can it make it easier for everybody to read, especially the lawyer? Right, so the legal professional is facing this challenge and this difficulty, and if all the things can be linked and be easily retrieved and read and cross-reference, that would be something that they're willing to pay for. All right, so that is on the readable Sri Lanka constitution for all. The third challenge statement is about how can we, together, the innovative company, increase the Sri Lanka tourists. Now, the key point we put down here is with technology. Now, how big is Sri Lanka tourism market? Well, it's Sri Lanka tourism is the one that brings in the most forex, foreign exchange. And having said that, is that by increasing the tourism, especially after COVID, you need to let people know about Sri Lanka, how wonderful it is. How can we use the technology to do that? Do the marketing, for example, and increase, attract the people whether it's consciously, subconsciously, to think of that if I want a summer holiday, it has to be Sri Lanka. So this particular challenge statement include the branding part of it, include the technology application. Well, you can also consider using technology to replace, okay, the so-called tour guide for the backpacker, for example. The next one is very, very similar. Okay, next challenge statement is also very similar, but it is not focusing on the tourists per se that can come here for just sightseeing, entertainment, but you're looking at a business traveler, right? Business traveler. Business traveler come to Sri Lanka for a particular objective, and they would like to find out what other business opportunity, what can they do down here, and navigating a whole set of rule, regulations, and everything, which is the reason for earlier challenge statement about the constitutions. Okay, so the law, order, opportunity, registration, etc. This is what on the business traveler's mind. How can that be made easy for them and attract them to consider Sri Lanka as a very viable place to do business? Next, okay, we look at attendance recording for institution. Now, during the COVID, okay, we do have a lot of contact tracing, etc. So the question is that all these things is no longer implement, but how can we create, okay, a very, very seamless, totally friction-free attendance recording system, especially for the institution, for the university. It is important for the university to have that, because that having that, you will be able to allocate, collect data for resources, right? I mean, the first idea people will always think will be using a mobile phone, right? So yes, there's a possible of it, but the whole attendance recording is very challenging because of the multiple entry and multiple exit for an institution. How can all this recording be done very seamlessly? All right, so I think that is one of the major challenge for the university, for the institution. So there are over 40 university and institutions in Sri Lanka, and especially this is also the same problem for a lot of other institutions outside Sri Lanka. So you have a very, very big export market. It's very, very impactful for that, especially looking at Sri Lanka alone. You will have over 10 million of people studying in some form. All right. The next challenge statement is about how can we help Sri Lanka product increase its margin. I highlighted down here specifically the tea. So tea is one of the major export for Sri Lanka, and it is globally, Sri Lanka is the top 3 tea exporting country. But tea margin has been very, very low. So what can be done? What other things can be done through either business model, through technology, through whatever mechanism that are able to enable the tea distributor, tea grower to increase their profit margin, especially for the export. Right, so I think that is one of the very interesting challenge. But you have a lot of latitude to do that, and we have a lot of tea businesses around in Sri Lanka. And definitely that will be a very impactful and big market for this particular challenge statement. Next, okay, is very similar to the tea, but now we focus in something a little bit more particular, that is men's shirt. Right? So the textiles and the shirt and shoe especially is an industry that is growing and growing for export. Right? That everybody will know that export is what helps Sri Lanka to stand up again, to be able to bring in the forex. By doing so, if you're able to increase the men's shirts, mass appeal, that will basically be able to create the wonderful product and branding for one of the product for Sri Lanka. The number 8 is a little bit more technical and serious. It's about how can we remove the small and medium-sized enterprise, their trade finance friction. because you're talking about export. Export, a lot of time that you need to be able to buy the products and then sell the product, and selling the product involve trade finance. Trade finance, most of the time, especially with the interest rate increase environment, how can we reduce the cost of trade finance? How can we work together to change the whole trade finance mechanism in order to encourage and help the SME to be able to export more efficiently? The next set of challenge statement is slightly different. Although the statement saying that export Sri Lanka culture, basically bracket music with mass media. What this challenge statement is actually working on is very, very different and subtle. Number one, it is about how can we use the technology to create more Sri Lanka cultural content. Sri Lanka have a very rich culture, okay, in the South Asia, right? So South Asia has very rich cultural significance and content that's able to inspire and help people to understand Sri Lanka. Now, this would directly, indirectly impact on the tourism part of it. So how can all this information, all this culture be created and pushed out over the what's it called, media channel, be it over the what's it called, internet? Then it's about how can we generate all these informations more effectively, communicate it out more effectively, be it through online, offline activities, games, whatever, right? So music, although it's one of them, is easiest to distribute, but there's actually a scope for a lot of things, right? And next is that because all these culture activities and culture content will likely have to be put into English. It will also help to improve the English proficiency for Sri Lankan. All right, so both for internal consumption as well as external consumption. Now, all these challenge statements, although I highlighted, that are basically talking about various so-called problems faced by the corporation as well as the industry. But ultimately, when we work on all these challenges, all of them should be encapsulated as a viable business. For example, for doing tourism, the business model could be very simple by bringing the tourists in, and then you will get paid by the OTA, the tourist tour operators, or the hotels, or even government subsidies. All right. So for the mass export of a culture music, for example, that you could be making money from Spotify streaming or advertisement, etc. So these are the various models you will construct together. Now, having understand, okay, what are the problems already, next we start looking at the next part, which is how were the processes of this Open Innovation Challenge. Now, the date will be given later, so, okay, after you're registered, okay, all the dates will be given, especially for the training dates, okay. To register, well, you sign up at this place, tiny.cc / JICA, JICA set for Open Innovation Challenge. So it's a very easy to register place. And next, okay, once you sign up, you'll be given all the dates, and the dates allow you to attend online masterclasses. Now, these are very important benefit to the participating team, because that I, as your chief facilitator, will be teaching you a few very important things about creating useful, viable company. The very first one is the secret of a successful business model canvas. A successful business model canvas is what globally all the successful startup business uses. So if you have not have a knowledge of it, where to focus, where not to focus, most of the people would be making a lot of mistake in terms of constructing their business model. Everybody is focusing on providing a solution, but ultimately, those that get invested and be able to move forward are those that's able to articulate their customer segment, okay, and the whole relationship with the whole business model canvas. So that's the number one class that we teach. And that's exactly why some of the ecosystem, for example, Singapore, all right, is able to build itself, become an innovation ecosystem, have many more good startup, as well as, well, some unicorn. The second class will be the very effective pitching to investor most of the people, or in fact the Sri Lanka ecosystem, a lot of accelerator will have that challenge to get the startup, that the company, to be able to pitch to investor. It is not because there's no investor, it is because that pitching to investor require a very, very special skill. And yes, in this particular class, I will share on how to construct your pitching, narrative, construct your deck, as well as what is the flow for you to talk to investor more effectively. The third class will be on psychology of persuasion. Now you know that persuasion is what everybody needs in order for him to get what he wants. So being a company, being a startup, all the time you work with partners, then how are you able to persuade a partner to give you things that you need? All right, how can you persuade for collaboration? And most importantly, how do you persuade your customer to buy your product? And there's a lot of psychology involved, that all these things are very, very subtle. And I give the parts that are useful for a particular group of participants, right? Once you complete the class, then you will be able to go for a test. Okay, there are altogether there are 2 tests. One test to see your team suitability for the problem that you want to choose, number 1. The second test is about the knowledge that you acquired from the 3 masterclass, part 1. All right, so this is basically a test eventually will determine are you able to progress to the next stage. So everybody will have a chance to attend the class once you register. But people who go for the next stage, you will be able to go for the next class. The next class is slightly more important. It's actually about innovation with AI, artificial intelligence. We all know that AI is something that's very important. We've seen it, but the question is that how can you use it, especially to apply to all the 9 problem challenges that we have posted just now. How can you use your AI to create a virtual tour guide, for example? Right? How can you use AI to build as a business consultant, now to bring Japanese businesses into Sri Lanka, right? How can you use AI to help read the constitution, to structure it, to link them, to create a much better picture? Those are the very important parts, okay, of the second part, masterclass part 2. With all these things, we will be able to now, okay, help you to start building, which is, well, building your minimum viable product. So resources will be given to the team, and coach the team, help the team eventually to build all these things very, very importantly. We will spend about a month and a half through all these things, and once we are done, okay, we will run a finale, which is an investment game. All right, the team will have an opportunity to pitch to the investor, real investor, but the investor will be using a game money. So those people who are pitching, and so it is a very real simulation, but it is also a game. All right, but it will get to meet real investor, talking about real project, real thing, and ultimately what happened is that those people who float up and win the game will get a chance to really cooperate with the investor as well as the corporation, and to build the real product that you have. Okay, so with that, okay, I end my presentations, and please sign up, okay, on this QR code, which is tiny.cc/JICA-OIC. Thank you, and I see you online.